What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Philly Sports from the Mighty Kingdom. Hey, it's been a lot has gone on since the last time I filmed here, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to film the last few weeks. Just got real busy with other things. But obviously, the big story from last week was the Brian Colangelo situation with the Sixers. All the burner accounts on Twitter, 5 burner accounts. Could it be his wife doing it, his son? Who really knows? I mean, it's still a fluid situation. They're still investigating. I haven't really checked anything this morning too much about it, so I don't know where it stands at the current minute. But my thought process is I'm surprised the guy's still here. I mean, to be honest, and I know they have to do the due diligence and all this and that, but this is a very fireable offense. And even if it's not his accounts, his burner accounts, these other accounts that were, blasting players on the Sixers and divulging information with injuries and trades and all this and that. We all know the story by now. There's no way that this guy should be here. Listen, this is too important an offseason. This is the most important offseason that this franchise has had ever. And I'll underline that, ever, okay? Because of what's out there, because of the possibilities that are out there, all right? Obviously, you got the king out there, LeBron James. You got Paul George, and you have a possibility to trade for a Kawhi Leonard, okay? Those are 3 pretty damn big pieces. And I don't know, I mean, if unless you've been under a rock, you know that pretty much the team that LeBron goes on, if obviously he stays in the Eastern Conference, they're going to go to the finals. I mean, it's as routine as taxes every year. Okay, the team that LeBron's on in the Eastern Conference goes to the NBA Finals. Okay, period, end of story. I don't care what teams come up against him, what the situations are, what other players are around him. He goes to the finals every year, and he has a chance to win championships every year. Okay, even with undermanned teams. He's a great player. He's a generational player. He's still going to have great years ahead of him. And oh, by the way, we have Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, who are young, impressionable players, and Markelle Fultz. It would be nice, and I've said, stop me if you've heard this before, it would be nice to have a role model like LeBron to be on this team to teach these guys how you play in this league and what you do and don't do in this league, how you get your body ready in the offseason to go through a season to get to the finals 8 straight years. I mean, that is a war of attrition, and he does it every year, okay? But enough about that. You've heard me go on about the beating the drums to get LeBron here for many videos. So I'll spare you this time, okay? But it's coming back. All right, believe me. We still have a good month or so after the finals where the free agency begins, and we're gonna get really into it. But the Colangelo situation, I mean, come on. You know what? This can only happen to the Sixers too. Through my life, and I'll be 40 this August, okay? I'm a man. I'm 40, all right? So through most of my life, the Sixers have sucked, okay? Since I've been old enough to really start watching it and appreciating it, they have sucked. They have been bad, okay? I've seen them go to 1 finals. They lost to the Lakers, obviously, in 2001. Iverson's MVP year and everything. I've had really one moment, one season, where I could, taste it, okay? Taste it. Came close enough to tasting what that is all about, seeing the Sixers in an NBA Finals appearance, okay? And I do believe in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Markelle Fultz, okay, when he's not doing cartwheels on Instagram, I really want to see him just work on that jump shot, okay? Markelle, can we do that? I know you're good at the cartwheels, okay, but let's work on that jump shot. Now, maybe you can do some cartwheels on the court. Maybe that might confuse a few defenders. That's never happened before, so, show them what they've never seen before. But work on that damn jump shot. That's what we need you to do. So far, since the season ended and the Sixers lost to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference semifinals, we've had the Colangelo situation occur with Instagram. We've had Ben Simmons now going out with a Jenner, okay? So he's getting Hollywood. All right, we've had Markelle Fultz doing cartwheels on Instagram, and we've had Joel Embiid basically, taking people to school on playgrounds. And look, it's the off season. The players are granted a few weeks to do what they have to do before you really get into it, into the training programs. But that's basically what we've had. And again, it's a young team. It's an impressionable team. I don't know if they're just trying to one-up each other. I really don't know. But and that's just the era we live in, okay? But it's not a good look. When you get beaten in a series that you could have won, where you were man for man, probably better, than the Celtics. You lose to the Celtics in 5, and now you're doing all these goofy things on Instagram, and you're dating a Jenner, and you get caught with the 5 burner accounts on Twitter. So that's been the Sixers offseason so far. Okay, now they do get the 10th pick in the draft, but I want this team to be good. I do. I've been a fan of this team for a long time. I've seen so many lean years. Last year was great because we made the playoffs. And not that you're going to put a banner up for making the playoffs, okay? But we made the playoffs for the first time since 2012, got through the first round, had a lot of excitement. And as I said before, and I will say this again, if LeBron either leaves the Eastern Conference or moves to another team in the East, like hopefully the Sixers, it's going to be the Sixers and Celtics for the next decade in the Eastern Conference. I'm glad that we have other participants in the Eastern Conference, and that's what they're going to be. But for the foreseeable future, it's Sixers Celtics. And that's, again, with the caveat that LeBron leaves Cleveland. Okay? If he stays in Cleveland, then you got the Cavs still. Okay? But it's going to be the Sixers Celtics. If he leaves Cleveland, it's the Sixers Celtics for the next decade. And that's the team, like I said in the last vid, that's the team you got to build your team to beat. Because the Celtics are going to be damn good for a long time. They have good superstar players like a Kyrie Irving and a Hayward, and they have this young group of potential superstar players to come, like a Tatum. You have to match that, okay? And I'm not on the Celtics Instagram page, so I don't know if Tatum's doing cartwheels or one of their players is dating a Kardashian now. I really don't know. But to me, now they lose in the Eastern Finals in 7 to the Cavs. Thank you, Cavs. But they lose to the... Thanks, LeBron. Now that you have a taste for being the Celtics, come help us do it, okay? So they go down, and I bet you they're all about business. They're in the gym. They're working on their game to get better, okay? And again, this is sounding old school, and I get that, but I want the Sixers. The focus has got to be on what do we got to do to beat the Celtics. For years back when I was younger, for years, and I know it's another city and another team, but the Chicago Bulls couldn't beat the Detroit Pistons, the bad boy Pistons. They couldn't beat that team. And it just got ingrained to the head of Michael Jordan. What do I got to do to get better? What do I got to do to beat that team? I got to get stronger. Not only do I got to get stronger, this team's got to get stronger. And they worked that whole offseason with the mindset to beat the Detroit Pistons. And they went ahead and they did it that year in the Eastern Finals, and they won their first championship against the Lakers. Of course, they won 5 more after that and became a great dynasty. But to get to that, they had to beat the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons were in the way. Okay, they were the bad boys. They still had that moniker. They had won championships. So how do you get to the finals? You have to beat the Detroit Pistons. It went through Detroit. And that's exactly what the Bulls did. And they became a great dynasty. Okay, so what do the Sixers have to do to get to the finals going from here to the next foreseeable future? Again, caveat, LeBron leaves Cleveland. And that hurdle's out of the way. You got to beat the Boston Celtics. And the offseason has got to be about what do we got to do to beat the Celtics. We can't worry about beating the Warriors in the finals, okay? Because we have to get there first, all right? So we worry about the Warriors when we get there. But to get there, you got to beat that team that wears green in Boston. So the whole offseason for the next foreseeable future has got to be about what do we got to do. What moves they make, we got to match. We got to get better. Not just match them. We got to be better than them. We got to be better than Danny Ainge. We got to be better than their superstars. We got to put ourselves in a position to be better than that team. And what's it going to take? And yeah, we can talk about getting a superstar or 2 this offseason, but the players on this team, they have got to work on their craft. particularly the young players, Fultz, Embiid, and Simmons. The future is with these three players. Okay, unless they trade Fultz in the offseason, who knows? And if he continues to do cartwheels on Instagram, I really wouldn't be opposed to trading him, okay? But it's them. They're the faces of this franchise. Even if LeBron comes here this offseason, and he's here for like 2 or 3 years, the faces of the Sixers going forward is Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Markelle Fultz. That's it. So these three guys have got to do whatever they have to do, and all due respect to Darius Saric, who's a very good young player too, they have got to do what they have to do to get better. To work on the problems that they had in their game, they got to fix it. They got to adjust and get better, because this is the NBA, okay? This isn't, this isn't some, little league here, okay? You're not playing, on another, you're playing with the big boys now, okay? So now it's time to become what those teams are. That's what I want this team to be, and I get the next 5 years, 7 years is probably going to be the Warriors, who you're going to probably have to beat, to win a championship. But then again, the Eagles won a championship by being the Patriots, a dynasty. So sometimes you got to be to beat a dynasty to even become one, or at least to get that chip, okay? The Sixers, again, this whole Colangelo, this is so damn frustrating. This really is. Because this is such a huge offseason, like I've said. A lot of what the future of this team, the near future, the recent future for this team's going to be, okay, is for them to put themselves in position, okay, the immediate future, that's the word I'm looking for. The immediate future for this team, for next season, for the season after that, is to put themselves in position where they can get one of those players, okay? To me, and I know I've sounded all the horns for LeBron, I mean, look, in a perfect world, the perfect situation is to get Kawhi Leonard because he's younger and he really fits this team. He fits the what this team is about, what they want to be defensively. He's a great defensive player. He could be a defensive player of the year candidate for the next foreseeable future. He is a really special talent in that part of the game, but he has a great offensive game too, and he knows Brett Brown. Brett Brown knows him from San Antonio. He fits this team the best. If you were to say what do these players fit, like a puzzle board, what's going to be the finishing piece? What's going to be the piece that fits the best? I mean, as much as I'd love to get LeBron, I still look at Kawhi Leonard and saying that could be that finishing piece, only because he's younger. And the fact is, he does bring a lot on the defensive side of the ball, which this team is good at, okay? And he does have a history with the coach. Now, I will say this, in saying that yeah, LeBron pretty much fits any team, okay? But LeBron, even if they got LeBron, he's only going to be here for 2 to 3 years. Whereas if you get Kawhi Leonard, you can have him for the next 5 to 7 years. Just throwing it out there as a possibility. I don't know the exact number of years. It could be like a 5-7 year max contract, something like that. You can give Kawhi. You're not going to have LeBron for that length of time. So in a way, Kawhi makes a little more sense in that regard. But if I'm looking at this team right now and I'm seeing what LeBron's doing with Cleveland, taking probably the worst group of talent that he's had ever and taking them to the finals and almost winning game 1 with 51 points in Golden State at Oracle Arena, I mean, I'm sorry, I want LeBron. For all these Sixer fans who are saying elsewhere, did you see game 1 of the finals? Did you see exactly how they got to the finals? That would look nice here, wouldn't it? Number 23 in the Sixers uniform, we would take that. I think all those talk about, we don't want him, would go away if like the first week of the season. It would just be gone, But if I were to take a crystal ball and say, hey, this is what I'd like to see, this is what Neil would like to see done, I would go Kawhi Leonard. I would make the trade, whatever it would take the trade to get him, because he is younger, he fits the needs of this team, and I think that, again, with the background with Brett Brown, I think that's just a perfect fit. Now, that being said, I heard rumors that the Spurs are going to offer him some gigundo deal to stay there. And if they do, that's their right. That's their player. He's still under contract for another year, so they have every right to do it. And if they do it, hey, you know what? It's out of the Sixers' hand. It's out of our hands as fans. There's nothing we can do about it. He stays in San Antonio for the foreseeable future. It is what it is. What can you do? It'd be disappointing, but that's their right as an organization to do it. Again, it's their player. So then you look at, okay, the opportunity to go out and get LeBron James or Paul George or both. I would still be very much in favor of doing that. Now, I kind of went off on a rail again. Getting back to the Colangelo situation, it's ridiculous. It's unacceptable. I don't care if he had no knowledge of it, if his wife doing it. He's got to be gone. The whole Colangelo name has got to be gone from this franchise. It's got to be gone. They have got to move him. Either he resigns or they fire him. So long. Bye. You, the whole Colangelo family, we need to separate. Okay? This team, this offseason is way too important to keep this going, hanging over the heads. Even if clarity comes to the situation, even if he had no knowledge of it, it's still something that other players are going to see and say, can we really trust this? Do we really want to be a part of this? Now, the damage may have already been done. I mean, the Sixers can get rid of Colangelo today, and the new GM can come in a week or two, and again, the damage could be done, and that's the shame of it. But I feel, and hopeful, my hopeful Sixer fan feelings, is that they get rid of Colangelo, they wipe their hands of it, it's a done situation, they get a new GM, and what's a new GM always want to do, right? Make a splash, right? This new GM comes in, has a vision for the future, brings in LeBron or brings in Paul George, or if the Spurs don't get that, those two Brinks trucks back for Kawhi Leonard, they make a trade for Kawhi Leonard, or maybe they make a trade for Kawhi Leonard and bring in LeBron or bring in Paul George with that, and we're still looking great. And whoever they pick number 10, maybe a Mikal Bridges from Villanova, right? The champs, maybe they get him. And now we're looking like, okay, now we got all these pieces, we're ready to do this. Let's rock and roll. Let's get going. It could still happen. And I'm maybe being a little over hopeful in saying that, but it could still happen. But it's got to start with getting rid of Colangelo. They have to do that. And to me, I understand, okay, this takes time, but the more days that go by and they don't do it, is the more opportunity. It's just, come on, guys. Let's not prolong this thing any further. You have enough evidence now. It's enough. Goodbye. You've already, this fan base is already hurting. We want him gone. He's got to be gone. You cannot keep him in the organization after something like this, even if it wasn't him. It's his family doing this. He can't have it. Bye. Enough. Get the next GM. Who's that next GM? I don't know. I mean, people talk about Griffin from Cleveland. Again, a LeBron connection there. Some people have even said Elton Brand. To me, and look, I think Elton is going to be a terrific, has a terrific bright future in this league. Right now, he's handling business with the G League team, the Delaware 87ers. And that's fine, but Elton really doesn't have a lot of experience as a GM talking to other, agents and, shoe companies and this and that you're going to have to do to bring in the players this offseason. And again, the magnitude of this offseason being as big as it is, and I believe down the road, Elton Brand can be a really good, bright GM in this league, but I just wouldn't put that on him right now. I just wouldn't do it because again, it's too big an off season. I still want to get a guy in here who's had experience as a GM in this league, whether or in a front office in the NBA for a number of years, whether it's Griffin, whether it's someone else. I want that. I want that experience factor going into this off season. Okay, now if they decide to go with Elton Brand or some people have said Chauncey Billups or something like that. Okay, but that's their right to do it. But because of the magnitude, like I said, of this offseason, how big this is, I just want someone who's had that experience, who knows how to talk to, like I said, agents, shoe companies, and get deals done. Because it's so important. When you get LeBron out there, you're gonna be dealing with other teams. Okay, so you have to be the one to come out on top. You also have to sell the franchise to these players. Now Elton, I believe, could do it. I do. But whoever they get in has got to be a guy who's going to sell this franchise in a good light. Look, there's been some hurt put on it now with what happened with the Twitter gate, So they got to find a way to extinguish the flames from that, and again put a better, brighter light on this franchise. It does have a bright future. It does. They have very good young players on this team. They were in the playoffs last year. They went to the second round. They had some success, 50 win season. There's a bright future here that shouldn't be diminished to the level that it could be because of what happened on Twitter, but it has to be sold that way. You have to get a guy who's going to be a great salesman to be able to mend those fences. So again, it's really important that they hit a home run this offseason in the coming weeks with a new GM. They got to get rid of Colangelo, and they got to bring in a GM that's going to do the work that it's going to take to get one of these stud superstars to come here. Ooh, mouth gets dry after a while. So that's basically the situation that I see it from what happened with Twitter. Horrible situation, never should have happened, and hopefully they can, get past that. So that's basically the Sixers. The Phillies, disappointing last weekend and into this week. Obviously, they lost 2 or 3 from the Blue Jays, a team that's below 500, playing, in our building, our park, not able to get it done. And they simply couldn't get it done. The bats couldn't get it done, made some mistakes. They had their chances. I mean, that Friday night game, they had the bases loaded with 1 out in the 9th inning, and it was a ball. But, again, it was close to take there for Reese. He takes it, strike 3, and then a double grounds out to end it and then to threaten to end the game. They win last Saturday, but then they lose on Sunday. And Sunday was another one of those games where the offense just isn't there. They split with the Dodgers. The good news with that is Aaron Nola looks like he's going to be a Cy Young contender this season, certainly in the first half of the year. We still have to get to the All-Star break. I get that. Excuse me, my voice is getting a little... Oh, that really burned me up with the Twitter stuff, huh? But no, obviously, you split with the Dodgers, and they were, good to get the split there after it was 2-1 LA going to that 4th game, and they had Kershaw on the mound. So Nola certainly, pitched a hell of a game. They got a win. Obviously, game 1 of that series was ridiculous. The Phillies gave it up, late in the game. They're usually good for a game like that in LA every year for whatever reason. It is what it is. But going forward now, obviously last night they lose the first game to the Giants in shutout fashion. And I will say this. As is with the Sixers, the Phillies are in a situation where they can make a move, either at the trade deadline this year or in the offseason. And when we're talking about the current, state of it, and we're in this season, because obviously the offseason is a little ways away. So we're going to talk about the current state of things. And I really want them to make a trade for Manny Machado. I really do. And you know what? I've been a Philly fan for a number of years. I want these teams to be aggressive. We have seen a team win a Super Bowl. And with all due respect to all the other teams in this town, the Eagles were the first team that I really started following as being a Philadelphia sports fan. And them winning the Super Bowl is never going to be topped. It just isn't. And that's no disrespect to the Sixers, Flyers, or Phillies, but it's never going to happen. But I saw how they won that Super Bowl. They were aggressive. They go out, they make the trades they had to make to move up in the draft to draft Carson Wentz. And they make all those moves to get players that, are going to surround him and be playmakers. They go out this offseason, after winning the Super Bowl, they bring in Michael Bennett. And then they basically pants Dallas by getting Dallas Goedert, moving up in the draft to get him. Before the Cowboys can draft him. Again, are these moves that are all going to work out and they're going to win multiple Super Bowls? Who knows? Time will tell. But they were aggressive. They had a vision and they went with it. And yeah, a lot had to happen. And they got fortunate. They had some injuries, some tough injuries. They were able to overcome it because they had a complete team. Okay? And they won a Super Bowl. And they beat the freaking Patriots to do it. Okay? They gave us what we've always wanted. A Super Bowl championship. And they did it by being aggressive, understanding what they wanted and going and getting it. And they're still aggressive. Their mantra is now is this the new norm? You know, don't expect any less. And that's what these teams in this town have got to do. When you have a chance to go out and make a trade and bring in a Manny Machado, you do it. If you're a team, and I'll say this as a caveat to that, if you're a team that has a chance to make the playoffs this year, you know, and you have to give up some prospects to get them, yes, but anything shy of giving up Aaron Nola and Odubel Herrera, and maybe you throw in a Rhys Hoskins or some of the other players that are going to be a real foundation blocks for this team for the next how many years, you do it. You give up whatever prospects you have to give up in a minor league, and you do it. I get it, it's a risk because there's a chance you can't retain him next season, but you put a blank check in front of him. I think that might change his mind, okay? You do what you have to do to win. And there's no guarantees if you bring him here you're going to win a World Series this year, but it shows that you're committed. And the one thing I like about this team they've started to do is show that they're getting to that point where they're being committed. And we can argue the addition of Carlos Santana. Did they really need him when they had Rhys Hoskins playing first? Okay, I get that. But he's a professional veteran in this league. He's been to a World Series. He came in and he taught some of these younger guys how you're supposed to play in this league. And I love the addition of Jake Arrieta. That was an aggressive move. And yeah, they waited it out. They waited till they got him at their price, but they still went out and got him. They didn't have to do that, but they did it. And he's been a big difference maker on the starting rotation, showing these young kids how you pitch in this league. His guys won a World Series. You bring a Manny Machado in here. Two of the things that have been the biggest problem for this team that I've noticed so far this season, defense and offense. Okay? Can't say anything about the pitching. It's been great. Their starting pitching has been tremendous. The bullpen, I love Sir Anthony Dominguez. This guy has got to be the closer. He is the closer of the future. And I will say this, as much as I went off on a rant, you do what you have to do, I wouldn't trade him for Manny Machado right now. You know, with the fact that you possibly could throw a bunch of money at Manny and bring him in the offseason. And I have this kind of sinking feeling that the Orioles are going to want Sir Anthony Dominguez in the deal. So maybe this is all just, blowing smoke. But this kid has a chance to be one of the great closers in this league for a number of years. He has unhittable stuff. He's confident. It doesn't matter who he's facing. He gets the outs. He had a 2-inning save the other day in L.A. Okay? Unhittable, untouchable. And I know it's a small sample size, but he has pitched. He has pitched amazing to this point. It's to the point that I mean, you see Hector Neris warming up, I get nervous. When I see Sir Anthony Dominguez up there warming up, I say, all right, here we go. Don't take him out. He comes into the 7th inning. No, keep him in there. It's okay. Hector, you just stay back there. But no, I want Manny Machado because I feel like I do with the Sixers, with the Kawhi Leonard situation or LeBron, that he's the perfect fit on this team. J.P. Crawford, to me, I don't know if he's ever going to be a solid shortstop in this league. I just don't. I almost feel that he's almost better as a third baseman than a shortstop because it's like the routine throws that you see shortstops. Look, we were very, spoiled all those years when we had Jimmy Rollins, as the shortstop. And, of course, the generation before that with Larry Bowa. Two great shortstops that made all the plays defensively. What I'm seeing out of J.P. Crawford, he has trouble making those simple throws, to the first base. How many times have you seen him, and I know he's hurt right now, but how many times have you seen him when he's in the game get the ball and throw it over the first baseman's head, over Santana's glove? Or rush a throw or something like that. I know he's young. He has things to learn. But Manny Machado right now is a great shortstop. He comes here, no problems. Now we have one of the biggest problems of this team fixed, and that's the infield defense, okay? Because I do think Cesar Hernandez is a very good defensive second baseman, all right? I know he didn't make a play on a pop-up the other day. But with the team the way they are right now, and I think Kingery is the future at second base. But if you don't move Cesar Hernandez this year, now you have Cesar and you have Manny Machado up the middle. That's pretty good. That's decent. And even if it is, if you move Cesar and it's Kingery, okay, well, you have your future at second base right there. I'd like to see him get a little better defensively, though, at second base. I really would. I think he's made some mistakes, too, but he's very young and very raw. I kind of give him a little leeway there, even with JP. But you look at some of these routine plays that should be routine outs that this team just doesn't make. And you get a Manny Machado at short of this team, and they start to make those plays. Okay, those routine outs that take away from the big innings from the other teams. You got to make them, or to end an inning, end a threat. Those are the type of plays that you see Manny Machado makes. How many runs does he save, even for a bad Orioles team? Okay, so I really want to see Manny Machado here. I know there's going to be a lot of suitors this offseason. I know there's no guarantee that you can re-sign him this offseason. But then again, this team has money. And the other positive thing about bringing Manny here is he gets to see what it is to play here. Okay, it's a great hitter's ballpark at Citizens Bank Park. It's a great atmosphere, obviously. Look, that the fans, I know, are a little hesitant right now. Maybe not quite believing it. But if this team is in a run for it, as far as a postseason berth goes in September, or maybe even a pennant chase still in September, I mean, the fans are going to be there. This ballpark's going to be like it was back in 07, after the long, from 93 to 07 without making the playoffs. When they had a chance to get in there, you saw that ballpark was filled. And it was a great atmosphere from that year for the next, 5-6 years when they were or the next 4 years, I should say, when they were making their runs. Obviously winning a World Series. It is a great baseball town. It's just we need the product. It's like it is with basketball with the NBA. It's a great basketball town, but we just need the product on the court to go see. But I do think it's a great baseball town, and they certainly showed it those years when they were, overflowing Citizens Bank Park and the sea of red and the white towels and everything, and how fun that was. And playoffs, obviously. And if this team has a legitimate chance to make the playoffs this year, and I believe they do with the pitching rotation, this is a move they have to make. They have to be aggressive. And it hurts sometimes. You give up on prospects, but I will say this, and they're all about analytics. I will say this, all those moves that the Phillies made those years ago, when they brought in Roy Halladay, and they brought in Cliff Lee, and they re-brought in Cliff Lee, and then they brought in Roy Oswald, and they brought in Hunter Pence, and they got all these players, over those years, and they didn't win a World Series after that, after the 08 run, but they were aggressive. They brought these players in, all right? And all those prospects that they gave up, all those guys, how many prospects they gave up to get those players, how many of those prospects actually panned out for the teams that they went to, okay? I can't even name one, to be honest. And maybe I'm just forgetting someone or whatever, but I can't name one of those prospects that the Phillies gave up those years ago when they were aggressive and they were going after these players to bring in to keep this this thing going. All the prospects they gave up, none of them panned out for the most part that I can even think of. And there were guys that the Phillies gave up that people are like, oh, I don't know, didn't work out. Prospects are what they are. They're either going to pan out or they're not. They're either going to pan out for you or they're not. And sometimes, you give up a guy who becomes an all-star, who becomes a Hall of Famer. The Phillies did that years ago when they gave up Ryan Sandberg, to the Cubs. And there is a chance that happens. But the likelihood of that happening, and you think of all the years when teams give up on prospects, all those years and how many of those prospects actually pan out, it's very rare. It doesn't happen like that every single time. And there are some very good young prospects on this team, but you can't keep them all. And even if you go forward this season and you don't bring in Manny Machado and give up prospects to get him, you can't keep all these prospects. You're going to have to give up on some of them at some point. And why not now? When you have a chance to I don't know if they have a chance to get to the World Series, win the World Series. Look, there's a lot of good teams out there still, okay? But still, a chance to make a run, and who knows? Oh, you get in, right? You get in, who knows what happens. Baseball is a funny game sometimes. I mean, I've seen teams that get in as a wild card that go to the World Series or win a World Series. All right, who was it? The Cardinals did, the Giants, I believe, as a lower seed, as a wild card, get in and make a run. You get in, you have a shot. And for this team to get in, they still need that other piece. Particularly when you look at the offense and how they've struggled, and you look at defensively. I mean, it's a joke at times watching this team play defense. It just is. It's embarrassing. not just the infielders, it's the outfield. I mean, last night you had some plays that were simple plays to make, and they just can't make them for whatever reason. And they've done it all year. It's amazing they have the record that they do, the way they play defense at times. But Manny Machado is a great defensive player, and I think just having him on the team, I think makes other guys, better defensively. Maybe it shows some guys, all right, this is what you're doing wrong. This is where you want to position your glove. This is the type of play. This is how you throw. These are the type of things that you get a guy like that on here to teach some of these young kids, how to do it. I think it would be a great move, and I think he fits this team perfectly. Perfectly. And going forward. And I would hope that they would be able to outspend and do whatever it takes to keep him here. Because, yeah, I get it. If you give up a lot to get him now and there's no guarantee you keep him, why are you doing it? But again, if you have a chance to make the playoffs this year, and who knows, it's still more than half a season to go, but you have a chance at it, you're another piece away. Offensively, defensively, and I think Manny Machado fits the need of this team to a T. Absolutely perfectly. I don't think there's many other players that they can go grab that are going to have the impact that Machado would have on this team. He's a great young player. And I know it's going to take a lot to keep him here, and I would hope that the Phillies would do what it takes to keep him here. Back up that Brinks truck, okay? and you can do that with a player like him because he's still young. He still has many years ahead of him. It's not like you're doing that for an older player. He's a player, it seems like he's been in the league a long time, but he really hasn't, and he's got many great years ahead of him. He's a great athlete, and he's a terrific, he played third base for those years in Baltimore, now shortstop. He wants to play shortstop. Obviously, A-Rod was his favorite player growing up, so he wants to be a shortstop. Let him be a shortstop on this team. And I know it's very enticing for him, hey, the Yankees, but do what you got to do to keep him here. And the Phillies can spend. I mean, what are they spending on right now? They have money they can spend, okay? And I know the dream in a few years is to bring Mike Trout home, and maybe they can still do that. Well, how great would that be in a few years to already have Manny Machado still playing at a high level, and you get Mike Trout? I mean, come on, that's a dream scenario, okay? But again, aggressive. I want these teams to be aggressive. I want them to make these moves. Don't just sit on your hands or rest on your laurels. No, you make moves. The teams that win are the teams that do stuff like that. Does it work always? No. There have been plenty of situations where it hasn't. But you're not going to have that if you don't try. And I'm a fan of these teams. I want them to succeed. I want them to win. Okay, what this team did for us last year, I want that with our other teams. I saw the Phillies do it in 2008, but it's not just enough to win the one. I want to get there again at some point, And I think they have a good young nucleus of players, but they need need something else. And maybe it's not just Manny Machado on itself, but it really helps fast forward the situation when you bring a guy like that here. And why does it always have to be New York and Chicago and LA? Let us be in the game too, okay? Let our organizations get these players here, okay? Let us have some fun. All right, enough. So anyhow, that's my kind of take on how things are going with the Phillies. I beated the drum enough for LeBron James with the Sixers, all right, and now Kawhi Leonard. I want to beat the drum for Manny Machado with the Phillies. I want to keep doing it. I know the trade deadline's still a little ways away, but I'm going to be proactive. Go make the move this week. Enough of waiting till the trade deadline, all right? Be aggressive. We need the help now. Now, right now. You look at the month that the Phillies have coming up, the teams they're playing, you need the help right now. Make the move. Enough of waiting. Heck with the rules and wait for the trade. Make the move now. Be uber aggressive and be on the phone with the Orioles this week and say, hey, what's it going to do to get Manny? What's it going to take? Let's talk. No, he's out. Besides that. Okay? Be aggressive. Because come the trade deadline, all these other teams are going to be coming and throwing out moves, packages to get Machado. So beat them to it. Call the O's up this week. Beat them. Beat the Yankees and the Cubs. All right? And whoever else might be in there. I mean, geez. I mean, God forbid it be the Nationals. Okay, they get on the phone with the, hey, now you got a division rival trying to get him. Enough. No. Beat these teams to him. Phillies wear pinstripes too. You know, they're red. They're not navy blue like the Yankees, but they have pinstripes. They do. Anyhow, that's going to do it. You have pinstripes too, act like it, damn it, all right? Throw money out there. That's what you do. Anyhow, fantasy baseball world, right? Anyhow, easy for me to say at a couch at home. I have nothing to do with the Phillies organization. It's easy for me to say, right? I'll do it on the game. I'll bring Manny Machado and the Phillies on the MLB The Show circuit, okay? I will do that. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. The hell with it. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me another 40 minutes. God, I know. But a lot to get off my chest. Hey, I've been on here for a few weeks. And, you know, a little talk here. Again, the Colangelo situation with Twitter, ridiculous. Get him out of here. All right, gone. Just get rid of him. Let's another GM, a better GM, get this thing going. Huge offseason. Huge offseason, the biggest in franchise history. And it's still possible that they can do the things they have to do. They just can't have Colangelo here, okay? To make that happen, Phillies still in San Francisco. Then they go to Chicago, play the Cubs next week, and then they're back home. This is you talk about murderer's row of opponents. And the month of June is just a crazy month for the Phillies. So they're going to be seeing a lot of really good opponents. All the more reason why they get Manny. And be proactive with it. And it's going to be brutal. But you know what? The pitching has done great. And as long as you have great pitching in this league, you're going to have a shot in every series. Just be nice to score a few more runs. It would. Yeah, that guy Manny in Baltimore, he might help. Just saying. Phillies, come on. Baltimore, it's an easy call to make. It's easy. You can even go, you can ride a bike there, all right, and bring him here. All right, all right, everyone. Thanks for joining me here in the Mighty Kingdom again, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Take care. Bye. Get Manny, Phillies, and get LeBron, Sixers, or Kawhi. Let's go.